I've been tutoring for LV Mercer for about 14 years, but this past year has all been on Zoom. This has been the 1-year anniversary this week of my starting on Zoom.
It was a little difficult to transfer what I was doing from working in a library with a nice chalkboard and everything like that. It's been kind of weird and whatever, but it's been a year now, and I'm feeling pretty comfortable. I'm very comfortable with the students, and they definitely ask me a lot of questions, which means that they're doing very nicely.
And with the transition to virtual, I think we worked out everything, and it has very much been worth the effort. It would have been sad if we had to stop teaching during the pandemic.
Some of the new things that we've done with the constraints of having to tutor remotely is we've brought our whole new tutor training to an online format. We've also introduced some online tutor roundtable discussions where we've gotten together to speak about grammar or just how's it going.
Give me a thumbs up.
We've also done some tutor roundtable discussions on tutors' technology tips and tricks. We've increased the number of newsletters that we've sent out to tutors and students, sharing with them online resources and technology. And one of the things we're most proud of is an online program that we've created for our very beginning level students.
I'm here in the parking lot of our Bridgewater office, where I will be meeting with our program manager and 2 volunteers who are going to be teaching a beginner ESL class online starting in a few days.
We got names of students from the libraries who were interested, and then we set up Zoom assessments. I had Adriana help me. She's fluent in Spanish. So we assessed all the students. We made sure that they were beginners. We made sure that they could get on Zoom and that they were really committed to meeting for 10 weeks on Saturday morning.
Well, we went from being in person in the library to on Zoom, which is it's a lot of fun. I mean, we can do a whole lot of things on Zoom.
After doing our first session, we discovered there were some things that would be helpful for the students. So we're providing them with whiteboards and dry erase markers and erasers. And this way they can write down their answers, hold it up to the screen, and we're able to read it much better than if they write in a notebook.
I sent you a copy of your story. Did you get a copy of that? All right, let me pull that up on the screen here. I'm going to share my screen, and you should be able to see that in a second here. All right. Can you see the story? We'll take a look at that later on. But before we get started today, I think we're going to go over the words from the lesson that we've been studying.
While we quickly learned to Zoom with our colleagues, the bigger challenge became figuring out how to serve clients who were accustomed to meeting with their tutors in person to work on their literacy skills. We felt our most critical service during a pandemic was to maintain a connection with our students who might need us to help them find more life-sustaining resources. Even if they couldn't work on literacy skills, our volunteers could still be a valuable resource for their clients who might be struggling to find the help they needed. Some students lacked connectivity or basic computer skills. We adapted by recruiting student volunteers to help their less tech-savvy classmates. Our Zoom ESL classes were productive, but they were also fun and gave many isolated students a social outlet. From a program standpoint, it was also efficient, allowing us to reach many students at once, regardless of geography. We expect to keep online classes on our class menu permanently.
I think a lot of my students appreciate the convenience of online. Some of them have kids, and we have some distractions with kids in the background, but that's fine, because otherwise they might not be coming to the sessions if they had to stay home and babysit with their kids. So again, my experience has been largely positive, and I have no problem continuing with it.
I have found working with students through Zoom to be a real boon. I had recently retired, and I was still looking for ways to be involved Now, yes, I had to learn how to use Zoom. I had to brush up on my PowerPoint skills, but the joy I have experienced with meeting the students has been wonderful.
I realized that I was not going to be seeing my students. And I was given the opportunity to work on Zoom with my students instead. Students are writing to me by text and emailing me with a problem, with a misunderstanding of a language situation, help for interviews, help for those kinds of things, which didn't happen so much, or maybe not at all, when I was teaching in person.
I find it much more convenient for the students as well as for myself. But there are additional benefits. One is how easily we can get to electronic material that's available on the internet or on our hard drives. Secondly, for people that are trying to see how our mouths actually move, we can get much closer to the screen and give them information that they wouldn't be able to get in person across the table. So overall, it's been extremely successful, and I would like very much to have the opportunity to continue with remote learning after the lockdown for COVID ends.
Good morning and hello. This is our great class. Say hi, everybody. Hello. Hello. And good morning. And yes, it's been a very difficult year, but at least with Zoom, folks can get to class a little more easily. And sometimes we even have their wonderful families involved, their children or spouses join in. So everybody keep safe and get that vaccine. And see you soon. Bye.
My student Maria and I have been together since September of 2019. So when the library closed because of the pandemic, I was concerned. I didn't have a computer and neither did Maria. I didn't even have a smartphone. But pandemic or not, I wasn't about to lose the wonderful connection and rhythm we had with each other. So I wrote letters to her. I told her of my days and asked her questions she would have to answer thoughtfully, not just yes or no. She wrote me back. I helped her with the letters she wrote, sent them back, and wrote another letter with more questions. All of this using the U.S. Postal Service. And now we have our one-to-one on the phone. We read together and I help her with comprehension and pronunciation. I do still write letters to her, and that connection we have is precious to both of us. It's been a wonderful, exciting, sometimes hard, but always a fulfilling experience.
She then offered to pick up the books for herself and for another student who's a good friend of hers. It was a very cold night in March, and not only did she pick up the books from my house that night, she also picked up her friend from work and drove her friend home. I have wonderful students. They are thoughtful and kind people.
During the pandemic, our situation has been hard in all areas. We have tried to help everyone despite the circumstances. We want the students to succeed, and we have given all our efforts to help them and allow them to study.
We have implemented Tech Pro Hours. We have a high school volunteer who offers workshops and open office hours for all tutors as they transition to online tutoring. Secondly, we have offered drop-in, open-level workshops for our students, and they change each season. We have offered language experience story, writing workshops, and special holiday topics. The additional instruction has provided students with the opportunity to learn something new, get extra instructional hours, and serve as added flexibility during the ever-changing pandemic. We are so grateful for all the hard work that everyone's done this year.
My favorite thing about Literacy New Jersey's volunteers is how creative they are in teaching English language learners, and I think that's especially true this year with teaching through and tutoring through Zoom.
I enjoy the fact that I'm helping them be more successful at their jobs.
What I like most about working as a volunteer is seeing the light bulb go off for people, seeing that I taught them something and they can now use that. As long as I can help, that makes me happy, and that's what I want to do.
What would it mean if I told you that you were dressed to the nines?
Being dressed to the nines means being dressed very nicely. Here, we see a man dressed in an impeccably crisp suit, a tie, and a high-end watch. This man is extravagantly dressed. This man is dressed to the nines.
This year, literacy volunteers of Pascack Valley started an online culture club. In this club, we invite students and tutors to share information about their country of origin. The presenter discusses the country's culture, people, geography, and holidays. This gives students an opportunity to practice their speaking and listening skills. We hope this online program continues even after we resume in person. Our next presentation in April is on the beautiful country of Turkey.
As a literacy organization, we have grown with the challenges we faced and feel much better prepared to serve our clients going forward.